I think if we had a committee to discuss these bills in which all of these type of arguments could have been raised, would have saved us all a lot of time today. But unfortunately, these bills, and I'm going to talk to the process, Mr. Speaker, because I don't think going forward, the way in which these bills went through the committee process was appropriate. Friday afternoon, we got the list for the Judiciary Assembly Committee of what bills we were going to be considering. Would it surprise you to know that these three bills, this bill and the two prior, were not on there? They weren't. Myself and Assemblyman Scharfenberger went out to a reorganization, swore in a few council members, and went on our day. And as I was driving home, I found a note from one of the staffers. And first, let me stop and say thank you to all the staffers who work here in the Assembly for all the hard work you've done over the last week and a half to get us where we are today. You've been extended greatly, and it's appreciated. But back to driving on my way home that late evening, Friday evening, these three bills are on our agenda suddenly. And they're significant bills. Either way that you land on this issue, those arguments deserve to be heard, respected, and fleshed out. They were not. We showed up at a committee meeting. We only heard from one side. I spoke to several members of law enforcement in my own county, Mr. Speaker. They had no idea this bill was being done. And if they did, they would have had a lot to say about it, because they too are dealing with the issues of the Attorney General's guidelines on this issue, which has tied their hands. So I know from not only in Monmouth County, but all other counties, several other law enforcement officials have told me they don't favor this directive. They have been waiting for this Attorney General to be done with the hope that this directive would untie their hands. And in light of the fact, we just threw another few $1 million at the World Cup coming. Here we are tying the hands yet again of law enforcement when it comes to combating things like human trafficking. We know it's coming, and yet we are creating such a dangerous situation by considering bills like this so swiftly without any other type of opposition. And Mr. Speaker, if I had been given the opportunity to flesh those issues out in the committee, maybe we'd have had a better bill here today, but we don't. We have a severely flawed bill that doesn't consider the opinion of law enforcement. It also doesn't consider, as some members have already talked about, Assemblywoman Fantasia spoke about it 2 bills ago, and Assemblyman Knitra talked about it. The death of a family that's been destroyed, and they're not the only family that's been destroyed by criminal acts of illegal immigrants in this state. But that one resonates to me, Mr. Speaker, because the gentleman who engaged in that drunk driving and caused that incident came from Red Bank, which borders my district, which is the streets around which my kids drive on those streets. Maybe people don't care about Jerry and me driving around there, but I care about my kids. I don't need them driving around in streets in which a danger is created because we are not enforcing the laws that are intended to keep us safe. This particular person had not only been convicted twice of DUI, but also domestic violence in Red Bank. And nothing was done because of this type of directive that tied the hands of law enforcement and prosecutors. There was one other group that I think would have been important. I think it was imperative on the sponsors of this bill to consider and reach out to affirmatively before putting pen to paper. And that was some of the families like Assemblyman Scharfenberger mentioned. He was a mayor in the post 9/11 world. He had to go and talk to all these families that had to deal with their cars being left in a parking lot and no one coming home. Every single year, Jerry and I and all the Monmouth County officials, we go up to at 9/11, first thing in the morning, and recreate. We go right through the timeline of that morning, and it's devastating, devastating. And that's because law enforcement was blind. As Assemblyman, we've already talked about this. They were blind because law enforcement, all the different agencies were not talking to each other to know there was a threat out there. So, Mr. Speaker, I think we should pause on this bill. I think Assemblyman Knitra, with all your passion, one of the things you did say is maybe we need to pause. Send it back Do something that is responsive to the concerns of New Jersey. This is not anecdotal, and that was some of my concerns too. This is real facts. We have a bipartisan report coming out of 9/11 that said, this is what we're not supposed to do, and here we are doing it less than 25 years later. I'm shocked. I am shocked that this is where we are. So I would ask everyone to maybe consider what Assemblyman Knitcher said. Put a pause on this. Let's have a real hearing where we consider opposing viewpoints. Because, Mr. Speaker, that's what I'm finding. In the 4 years I've been here, we would hear from both sides. And what I'm seeing a lot now in these committee structures, on the issues like this, we're only hearing from one side. And it's done on purpose to create a narrative, not to create facts. I'd rather that we legislate from facts and not based on a political narrative. So everyone here, please think about those families. Think about what happened here just less than 25 years ago. Think about what's best for this state and vote no today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your time.